right, so for the next part of this installation, this is the part that, a lot of work. I know what you're saying, like up until this point, it's not like it's been easy. But this is really where the comes into play, and that is the dash. So this is gonna kind of be like a multitude of steps all in one now that we're at the front of the vehicle. We have to put in the amp, the DSP, and all the speakers in the front side of it. And that's gonna require taking a lot of this dash out of the car, and that's why we're waiting to do this last. Let's hop into the vehicle and I'll kind of show you what we're gonna be doing. We need to get this screen out of the dash. Even though this is a DSR1, if you've ever done one before, and you're like, well, this has an amplified system, it plugs in at the amplifier. Not in this particular case. The reason for that is Rockford made their own harness for this, because whether you have the 8-inch, the 7-inch, the 5-inch screen, amplified, non-amplified, it doesn't matter. This system can go into it. And in order to do that, they needed a universal harness that will work for all of those. This will also work if you have an aftermarket radio in place, like a Stinger or an Alpine or something like that, aftermarket wise. So don't be afraid to install that in one of those. There's a special harness for it. When we get over to that, I'll show you the harness. That means we got to get the radio out, then we also got to get these pods out. It's a lot of work. Let's just kind of work through it all together. Let's just kind of all walk through it together, right, Fernando?
Correct.
And we will, yeah, we'll get there, right?
We're always gonna get there.
We're always gonna get there. The first thing we're gonna do is get the screen out, start in the middle. Simple enough. This side right here of the air conditioner, this piece right in the center is what comes out first. Super thin pry tool, get up in there, just enough to get your fingers underneath it. Sounds terrible when you take it apart. One clip for the main air conditioner, second clip for push to start. With that out, 2 screws at the bottom of the screen and 1 screw at the top of the media panel. Grab it on the top, give it a little shaking, and the unit will come free. And on this one, believe it or not, there is a ton of stuff on the back that needs to come off. There's 2 USBs, there's a power window, there's a cigarette lighter. Just work your way through it. It helps if you have one of these cool little panel tool, but a flathead screwdriver will work too. Next, for the screen, grab by the bottom. Just pull it off. On the back, there's an excessive amount of clips. To get my screen out, there's 4 screws. There's also a 5th screw right here, located next to the far passenger side screw, and that is to get this top trim off. Pull that off as well. Pull the screen out as far as you can. It does come out a decent distance. Tip it forward and have somebody else remove clips for you while you're putting your hand on the screen to protect it. Set the screen someplace safe where it's not going to get scratched, as if it needs to be set. With the center out of the car, we have a couple different ways we can go here. We can go passenger side, we can go driver's side. We have far less work to do on the passenger side, so that's where we're gonna go. We'll come back to the driver's side, but before we do that, we need to get this top piece off for the driver's side. This is one of those pieces that it's like, really? Yeah, it just clips in other than that 1 screw, but there is a lot of clips. It kind of pulls forward and up at the same time. It's really hard. Pay attention to the corners. This is one of those things where having 2 people really help. You're having way better luck than I am. There you go. And this one,
Lucky.
there's like 20 metal clips. These little annoying things right here.
17.
And 17. And if you can get them all off in one pull, that's magical. The ones you want to pay attention to, like I said, though, are the ones in the far corner. Those are plastic, and those are the ones that typically want to break. Start in the corners, just get those loose, and then kind of work your way across like you just saw. Let's get the speaker grills off for those. There's 4 clips that hold them on. Flat panel tool. Just dig in, pops right up. Start in the corner. Work your way to the back. There you go. 4 simple clips. Pops right up. Holding the 3.5 in place is 2 Phillips screws. To get those out, I like to use this. It's a screwdriver, right angle drill, call it what you will. Pops on just like this, gives you this. And these fine speakers right here are what is in the dash. It is a single cone, 3-inch, 3.5-inch. This is also one of the easiest things in this installation too, because we didn't have to do anything that we've done so far. Those just pop right off and you can easily put those in. So if you want to feel really like, yeah, we're killing it, just do those first. This is what's gonna go in it. This is the all-weather Rockford pain generating tweeter. These things are insanely loud, which is perfect, exactly what you need for a Jeep. You're gonna go into the top, factory plug. There is a crossover already installed on there, plug and play. Snap these up in and put your 2 screws back. There's a Rockford logo on it. It goes towards the window. And that's it. Check one more thing off our list. How cool is that? With those done, as I said, let's move on to the passenger side because that is going to be the next easiest thing to do. The first step in that is removing the glove box. How do you do that, Fernando?
You open the glove box and it's a latch. Make sure you remove it, kind of pull it up, and as soon as it's free, it has a lock in the top. Just push it up, and that brings it up. The second thing we have to do is remove the bar. 10mm in this side. And in the other side, it's another 10mm covered by this panel. You gotta be gentle.
Use a thin pry tool.
Go around first.
So a closer look at it, it has 1 clip only and then 2 little hinges. It's gonna pop out from towards the driver and unhinge to the passenger, another 10 behind it. Basically what we're getting at is you do not have to remove the cool Allens. Those are just for beauty.
Pull all the 7mm of Phillips screws that you have.
You'll find that most of the screws in the front of the vehicle are those 7/Phillips screws. Makes life easy towards the front of the vehicle.
Go to the side, grab your pry tool.
And there again, just like every other panel, this has 5 really strong plastic clips holding it in place like this. Start at the bottom, work your way to the top. Located on the side is some more 7mm screws that need to come out. These are gonna be in the way of the door. The screwdriver that we just used, very helpful. Otherwise, open the door all the way, unclip it, move it all the way open if you don't have to.
This one has 5 7mm. The 5th one is the hardest one. You're gonna use 7mm ratchet.
This is one of those cases where you look at it and go, wait a minute, why did they put that there? And they did. That one right there that you can see is clearly behind the door jamb. Terrible idea. To get the speaker tub out, there is these holes like you see along here. The bottom one, deep down inside that crevice, is the 7 holding this thing.
Remove the airbag cover.
Once you get the bottom piece of the airbag cover off, there's 2 7mm screws there. Remove those. That'll allow you to pull this panel forward so they can then remove the 2 7mm that are holding in this speaker. A ratcheting wrench works really good on the top. You should be able to get a drill on the bottom. I'll plug the speaker plug from the back of the cabinet and slowly work the speaker out. And just like that, we have 1 speaker out of the car. The factory has this little tiny 4-inch in it here. It's ported, yeah, a lot of fun. We are gonna be replacing it with the all-weather Rockford 6.5 already in the Jeep enclosure. These are the same speakers that are in the overhead. For those of you keeping track at home, that is going to mean we are going to have 4 6.5s and 6 tweeters. That's right, 6. This is all water resistant. It has a seal that goes from the tweeter to the cone, so there's no way to get debris and all that fun stuff that you might be doing in your Jeep into the speaker and screw it up. On the back side, it has the factory clip. Go back in. Fernando, here you go. Slide it up into place and put it together in reverse order. Now, as far as the hardest thing to do on this side of the car, believe it or not, it's getting that airbag cover off, because those 4 clips in that, they don't want to give up the ghost. They do not want to come off. Go slow, take your time, and in this case, put it together in reverse order. Now, what you've learned from this side of the car is good, because that's going to help you to take the driver's side of the car apart, which is, I'm not going to say way more complicated, it's just a few more steps, because in this side, we need to get to the DSP that's located behind the speaker, and that adds a layer of to it. We're putting the amplifiers underneath this driver's seat right here. The wires are going to run up both the center console and the floor sill on this side. That's a great place to start, is getting the floor sill out of the car. First step in doing that is removing the cover here in the corner for the door wiring. When you get the cover off, remove the door wiring also. There's a red safety clip on it that needs to slide over, then the white bracket will come up. In the way of what we need to do are 3 10mm. The floor sill kind of lifts up and goes this way. The typical Jeep fashion fights you the whole way, but these are those clips I was talking about here and here all along there. Just like on the passenger side, remove this side panel here. Tip the steering wheel down. Your gauge cluster across the top is 4 screws. Remove them. underneath the steering wheel. Lift it back up, the knee buster. This is gonna pop off. There is a bunch of 7mm along here. They all need to come out. Yep.
There you go.
Once you get all the screws out, unclip the top of the knee buster, this beauty ring that goes around the steering wheel. That'll allow you to get this guy out of the way. That frees up 2 screws over here next to the air vent. And then down here in the bottom, there's one more oddly placed screw. It too is a 7. With that done, pull that down, and then there's one more screw located up behind the steering wheel cover here. On the light switch here, there's going to be a clip that has a little red thing on it. Slide the red thing towards the back of the clip, and then you can push it closed, and then it'll slide out. And that gets us a pretty good look at the speaker, which is nice. There's one screw located up here behind the antenna. And now, as you see, you're like, oh, hey, that's great. It's floating free, and you'd hope it would come out. It's not going to. This bar here needs to be dropped down out of the way so that we can lower this for this guy here to clear. It's an 8mm along with some 10s. That should allow this to come down some. Pull down on the bar, and the speaker will come out. On the back side of this is a module. 7mm will get it out. Now, if you're done and your car does not start, and you're like, what the heck? It's this module here. That's it, this guy comes out. Now we'll just fish this module out of the way for right now, let it hang down. And that is gonna take us to this big silver panel.